What felt like a useless piece of advice until you actually tried it. Clean as you cook, dishes right away, and 10 minutes every day walking through the house picking things up / organizing. So much better than hours of cleaning on one day. Compliment people behind their backs. Sounds stupid but works wonders. Fans on my old MacBook died. Saw a YouTube video that said to simply take your fist and bang on the part of the computer that housed the fans. Thinking it was a troll, I gave it a shot out of pure frustration, and lo and behold, they purred back to life and I never had another issue with them for the rest of the time that I owned that computer. If it takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. I do so much less housework on weekends because of this. Cleaning your house before leaving for more than 5 days. Nothing is better than coming to a clean house. When you're trying to fall asleep and your mind is racing thinking about a million things at once, making it impossible to fall asleep, do this. Pick a letter of the alphabet. Count to 8. When you get to 8, think of a word that starts with your letter. Count to 8 again. Think of a different word that starts with that letter. Repeat ad nauseam. You'll distract your brain and bore it to sleep. Try killing roaches with soapy water in a spray bottle. It sounds useless, but it works better than any insecticide I've ever tried, and it's non-toxic and really easy to clean up. If you have a clogged nose, doing 8 to 10 push-ups will temporarily clear it up. Your gums bleed when you floss because you don't floss enough. Turns out if you floss enough, your gums won't be inflamed, so they don't bleed when you floss. Stick to the same sleep schedule on your days off that you follow on days when you have to be somewhere at a specific time, like school or work days. I spent my whole life sleeping until noon on weekends, thinking I was storing sleep in some imaginary sleep bank. I recently started waking up early on weekends, and now I don't have trouble waking up when my alarm goes off during the week. Plus I have all this extra time to do stuff, because I'm not sleeping all day. My dad always told me ask anyway, the worst they can say is no when buying something, or when I needed something from another person. Seemed stupid to ask if I was sure they would say no, but I was also a socially anxious kid. Turns out that advice has helped me with school, with raises, with people in general, with plans with new friends. If you feel like quitting, then just tell yourself that the story doesn't end this way. Sounds cliche, but you decide when your story ends, when you stop trying. You may fail, but you will not fail today. Don't let the story end this way. From a YouTube video dictated by a heavily accented doctor, unclog your nose by sitting up straight, holding your breath, and tapping your nose, untapping and breathing into about 80% of what you'd normally breathe in. Exhale, and repeat for a period of about 40 seconds to a minute. The point is to get a response to where your body almost feels like it's drowning. It's tough, but it clears your sniffles right up for a long while and works 90% of the time. Then I went on to suggest it to so many people, but they won't believe me or try it even if they're desperate. Going to therapy. I'm a guy. I'm emotionally stable, so I thought it was a pointless idea. Went with my ex-GF in order to work out problems in our relationship, mostly on her end. I learned so much about myself and got some amazing life advice. 10 out of 10. Never take I-90 through Chicago, my sister said to me in 2002. Yeah, okay, thanks was my reply. In 2004, just over the border of Wisconsin, we stopped for gas. We were on day 3 of our drive back from Yellowstone and had been on the road for almost 2 weeks in total. Funds were low, there was nothing left for another hotel that night. It was 11 AM, our calculations, pre-GPS, had us home at about 1 AM. We looked at the map, saw the upcoming highway split, and were debating between heading straight for I-80 or staying on I-90. Well, the last sign said 90 minutes to Chicago, may as well have a deep dish pizza for lunch. Plus, it looks like a more direct route. Mistakes were made. At 3 PM we had admitted defeat. There would be no lunch. The infinite traffic wouldn't allow for it. By 4 PM my will was broken. I pulled the e-brake, opened my door, and walked from the middle lane to the ditch just after a bridge to relieve the pressure in my bladder. Shortly after we would say fuck this, let's just get off here, that too was a mistake. The signs were in Spanish, the route back to the highway eluded us, we weren't even sure what time zone we were in. We asked a guy at the corner at a red light, "Hey man, what time is it?" I'll never forget his response. "Your mother." At 6:30 PM we finally drove past what is now Guaranteed Rate Park, fully immersed in Chicago rush hour. An hour later we crossed into Indiana, broken people. We had an utterly forgettable pizza, got back on the road, and endured a drive home that lasted well past dawn. "I told you to never take I-90 through Chicago," my sister said to me when I told her our tale of that day. She was right, I should have remembered that. You're not hungry, you're thirsty. I would eat a big meal and wonder why I still felt hungry. It is because I wasn't drinking a glass of water with my meal. Now if I notice I'm hungry, after eating normal portions I have a glass of water and wait 5 minutes before I continue eating. There's what you need, there's what you want, and there's what you can't afford. My dad says this all the time, and I never thought of it as useless, I just never used it. Now I have, and my money is far easier to manage. Not taking your cell phone into bed with you. After a while you will sleep much easier without the distraction and blue light shining straight into your eyes before bed. As someone with a phobia of needles my entire life, I finally, 30 years in, had a nurse tell me to ask for a spare alcohol pad and sniff it right as I'm about to get jabbed. She said the harsh smell is enough of a distraction to keep your mind off the needle. I was there for a flu shot, so I got to try it out right away. I wasn't expecting much, but it worked. I've been doing it ever since, and have no trouble with shots or blood draws now, which is huge for someone they've triggered panic attacks and near fainting in before. When you are sad, eat healthy, do a lot of sport, and try to take fresh air under the sun. It sounds like the typical piece of shit, but it works incredibly well. It probably is something purely chemical, so it is definitely worth a try. Keeping my shoulders back. It was a suggestion I saw for preventing panic/anxiety. IDK what it is, but when your shoulders are in that position it gives some strange feeling of control. I also read somewhere that during panic attacks the body basically wants to curl into fetal position for protection. So I feel like focusing on keeping your arms down and shoulders back is a conscious way to go against that and stay grounded in reality. Works for me, could work for you too. That forest app. It grows a tree for up to 2 hours, and during that time, you can't access any apps you think will distract you. If you wanna open a distracting app, you'd have to kill your tree. All your trees, dead or alive, appear in a little forest. I have always had trouble motivating myself to focus on homework and not look at Reddit/YouTube, but this app is just enough guilt to not open them. I haven't killed anything yet and I'm surprised at how much I can care about a small virtual tree. People told me about it and I just completely assumed that I'd never use it or it wouldn't work for me considering how distractible I am, but it works wonders. My doctor told me when I feel anxious or something like that to wiggle my toes and count them for every wiggle. It is something that distracts your mind and you can do it anywhere cause it just means moving your toes. I had a problem looking at people's shoulders while they were speaking instead of their face. I told a coworker my problem who said well just look at their ears, nobody can tell the difference. Life changing, seriously, no one can tell the difference. My mom told me to spend good money on the things that separate you from the ground. Tires, shoes, mattress. I finally bought good not cheap shoes and life was significantly better. They last so much longer and my back and posture improved too. She's not wrong about tires and a mattress either. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry for being late" or something, say, "Thank you for being patient." Didn't realize the effect that could have on people, and instead of putting yourself down, you bring another up.